Welcome, everyone. Today, we explore how to elevate your treasury from a functional silo into a high-performance, strategic powerhouse by cultivating a robust treasury culture. Let's get started. What exactly is treasury culture? Simply put, it is the deliberate thought and action process used to create an environment where your team thrives. The basics involve giving your people the right knowledge, tools, and empowerment. Why is this so critical? Because a strong culture is the exact difference between a high-speed, zero-defect treasury and a stressed, overworked silo. How do we build it? It must start top-down. The treasurer sets the example. In our deep dive, we see that culture acts as a massive multiplier. Technical skills alone aren't enough. Culture is the enabler that turns individual competence into unstoppable team effectiveness. Take a look at this foundational flowchart. At the top, we have treasury culture, which flows directly into three pillars: knowledge and skills, tools and empowerment, and attitude and environment. It is only when these three nodes are activated and converge that we output a high-performance treasury at the bottom. Let's look at the core qualities your personnel must develop. We are looking for proactiveness, control, teamwork, and transparency. The basics involve anticipating liquidity bottlenecks before they happen, maintaining strict controls to prevent fraud, and being highly transparent about capital costs. Why do these matter? Because Treasury handles the firm's lifeblood. A single lapse can be catastrophic. How do we foster this? By tying appraisals to cross-functional teamwork and embedding strict maker-checker rules. For our deep dive, we focus on the control mindset. Your team shouldn't just follow rules blindly. They must actively hunt for vulnerabilities and seal them. This diagram breaks down the four core qualities starting from the left. Proactiveness, a control mindset, teamwork, and transparency are distinct branches, but notice how they all funnel directly into the ultimate goal on the right, generating massive enterprise value. Each quality is a non-negotiable input. Moving on to essential skills. What makes a great treasury professional? It's a blend of interpersonal abilities and hard technical knowledge. The basics include relationship building, cross-cultural awareness for global operations, and crystal-clear written communication. Why? Because your team is constantly interfacing with global banks and internal business heads. How do we ensure this? Through continuous training on the underlying business model, macroeconomic factors, and accounting. Deep diving here. Technical skills cannot just be about pushing buttons on a terminal. Your team must truly understand how their actions like a mark-to-market valuation or hedging decision ripple through the entire corporate balance sheet. Here we separate treasury skills into two distinct paths. On the left, general skills branch out into relationship building and cultural awareness critical for global operations. On the right, technical skills branch into market awareness and understanding accounting impact. A high-performance culture balances both sides equally. What role does the modern treasurer play? They wear many hats. The basics require you to act as a marketer, a fund manager, a strict gatekeeper, and an innovator all at once. Why is this necessary? Because the business requires holistic, strategic support, not just someone to process wires. How do you achieve this? By stepping out of the treasury silo and consulting directly with procurement, sales, and the CFO. In our deep dive, the treasurer is the ultimate trusted advisor. Furthermore, part of your culture must be training the next level of management to wear these exact hats. You are building the future financial leaders of the enterprise. This hub-and-spoke diagram places the treasurer at the very center of the organization. From there, the roles radiate outward. You are a marketer and innovator, a gatekeeper, a fund manager, an internal consultant, and finally, a trainer and coach. Mastery of all these nodes defines true treasury leadership. How do we make this culture permanent? By integrating it directly into the human resources cycle. What this means is embedding culture into every stage of the employee journey. The basics involve screening for cultural fit during recruitment, providing robust training, and offering structured mentoring. Why do this? To ensure the high-performance mindset survives employee turnover. How is it executed? You map your core traits to your hiring rubrics and annual appraisals. For our deep dive, remember this golden rule: do not just hire for technical competence. Screen for proactiveness and a natural control orientation. You can teach a smart hire how to use a software system, but it is much harder to teach them integrity. This cyclical chart maps the HR journey. It starts at recruitment screening, moves down to training and development, flows into mentoring and empowerment, and arrives at evaluation and appraisal. The dotted line back to the top indicates a continuous feedback loop, ensuring hiring criteria constantly evolve with your culture. Let's explore how we train this team. What is the most effective method? Simulation-based training. The basics involve moving away from static lectures and placing staff into simulated, real-world market scenarios. Why? Because traditional training fades. Simulations allow your team to make mistakes with zero real financial risk. How does it work? We use the Kolb cycle of learning, experience, reflect, conceptualize, and experiment. Look at our sample code concept on screen. If a simulated market crash triggers, the user must autonomously execute a hedge, and the system instantly evaluates their impact. The deep dive here is about muscle memory. When a real crisis hits, a simulation-trained team reacts with calm confidence. This loop represents the Kolb cycle of learning. We start with active experimentation, leading to a concrete experience in the simulation. The user then moves to reflective observation to see what went wrong, followed by abstract conceptualization to build a new strategy. Then, they experiment again, cementing the knowledge. Let's look at a highly critical, real-time use case regarding control culture. What happens when it fails? Consider the infamous case of the insider. An employee managed an unmonitored dividend escrow account. Over 15 months, he forged transfers and siphoned over $400,000. Why did this happen? Because trust was assumed blindly. Basic maker-checker controls were bypassed because he was deemed a dedicated worker. The solution, a strict trust but verify culture. Ultimately, it was a vigilant peer who noticed the fraudster's lavish lifestyle and triggered the audit. The deep dive takeaway: software alone doesn't stop all fraud, a vigilant human culture does. You must encourage whistleblowing and strictly enforce segregation of duties. Walk through the sequence diagram carefully. The rogue employee submits a fake transfer to the system. Because maker-checker is broken, the system auto-approves it, allowing the employee to siphon funds. However, the control culture node steps in, a peer notices the red flags and manually triggers the audit in the system, stopping the fraud. Finally, how do we evaluate and sustain this culture over the long term? What we are doing is measuring the seemingly intangible traits of our personnel. The basics involve using assessment centers, 360-degree internal surveys, and rigorous supervisor reviews. Why must we do this? Because what gets measured gets managed. If you don't track cultural adherence, it will degrade. How is it done? You systematically assess their decision-making in controlled test environments and survey the business units on Treasury service quality. By continuously refining these metrics, your Treasury will remain a strategic powerhouse. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and visit quicktechie.com for premium certification prep, including Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training courses, and interview guides. Our final diagram shows the evaluation flow. To evaluate culture, we leverage assessment centers, internal surveys, and supervisor reviews. All three of these subjective inputs are converted into objective scoring. This data-driven approach guarantees sustained high performance over time. See you in the next session.